Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at, well, I was going to say TexTalks BattleTech, but technically this isn't one of the main line. This is going to be from the Black Pants Legion directly, and this is going to be BattleTech 101, the Great Houses of the Inner Sphere. Now, I'm watching this now specifically because, one, it just came out, two, I am in a weird position where I know more about the clans now than I do about the Inner Sphere, even though I'm someone who actually prefers the Inner Sphere as a team they play. Yeah, this is actually really awkward for me. Yeah. So we're going to just jump in and see what the hell's going on. Other than does filthy Kuritas, Liao, anyone who's not Steiner, basically. I know what I said. They have good guns. They have giant backs. I like the meme, okay? I'm guilty of that. Otherwise, we're just going to see where this goes. It's the Black Pants Legion. I'm pretty sure text narrating, but I could be mistaken. So yeah, if you haven't already, link below, original video, hit it up. Let's get started. Okay. Got a little Tron feeling here. Comstar, home video, you have no choice. Accurate. Oh god, is it actually from Tron too? I have no idea. Ooh, is that a griffin? Could be mistaken. Got basic manual for new mech warriors. Technically, I am very much still that. Today's lesson, the Great Houses of the Inner Sphere.
Welcome, new mech warriors, to the Inner Sphere, where you can keep whatever money you find so long as you live to payday.
Okay, one. I don't think I've ever seen text use this art, so I think it's a book cover? I'm not entirely sure. Sorry, I got so used to him doing the black and white images from the Star League and the grandiosity of them, but this looks like older art, but actually colorized so you could see the various shadings. It just looks really cool.
For our first lesson, the Great Houses.
Oh, it's an atlas.
Slide, please.
Huh.
So the Great Houses are the six, or for people who can actually calculate projection power on an
I love how he just writes the phone company down there. Oh my god, I actually do want to know more about the ones that are technically periphery, but aren't. There's so many things I want to know.
Strategic scale. The 4 peer states, 1 remnant, and 1 hermit kingdom that make up the Inner
This is
Sphere.
post-clan invasion map.
No, it's not a perfect sphere.
Roshlog
Yes,
for a bit.
there are things outside of it. Today we're talking about these assholes.
Ooh, I love
These are the
this.
Great Houses of the Inner Sphere, and they're all very different in varying ways, but are mostly the same, in that they are all.
Why is he doing Enforced Suicide?
Not very nice
Oh,
to each other.
I don't even. Yeah, it's
They
the
also possess
tradition.
vast arsenals of planet-killing weapons.
Okay, this is something that I know because this is a newer thing. He probably does in a bunch of his videos I haven't seen yet, but multi-layered images. Not just that there's the background, it's moving slightly out of sync of the foreground, but he has the flashing effect and the moving piece right here of the VTOL? I'm not even sure. So there's, sorry, just this kind of thing, these compositions of static images just being slightly altered and cut around to create entire scenes. From an editing perspective, I know how to do this. I suck at it, and I can honestly respect that this looks really damn good and clean.
And on special occasion, we'll trundle them out for public display. If you want to know why these people are fighting over such a vast territory and why they're so committed to erasing portions of their collective industrial base, history, and civilization, well, it's...
Before he says anything, my uneducated mind will immediately assume the answer is both power and dick measuring. I don't think I'm going to be wrong about that. There's more nuance, but technically, I think I'm completely right about that.
It's complicated. My best take on it is a two-parter, and most people find that a bit much.
Mars Civil War,
let
nice.
this serve as a
This is a good one.
basic introduction to your
sound.
career in the world of mech warriors, and a
city
primer
fighting.
on who's most likely to kill you when you inevitably fuck up. But firstly, a disclaimer. I am
Free State of Van Zant? Age Tum Negotium? People keep talking about the Free State of Van Zant. I don't know what this is. Is this like the text thing? Is he from Van Zant? I don't... It's probably the made-up state that the Black Pants Legion is using, isn't it? Even as the text model, too.
As a mercenary plying his trade in the Inner Sphere, I find...
Okay, actually, funny thing here. I think I recognize this. If I'm right, this image he's using back here, this is actually from the... One of the... I forgot... It's not called Mech Warrior, but there was an entire animation Text did. I'm just going to go back and rewatch it. I think I know this entire clip.
But firstly,
Was it
a disclaimer. I am biased.
Mercenary? Yeah, I think I recognize this one. It's an entire animation series, actually. It's really damn good. I think I did a reaction to it. I cannot remember the name to save my life. But I know Tex was one of the voice actors here, and he just was really cool, man. I just love that he brought it in.
As a mercenary plying his trade in the inner
Unless
sphere,
I'm mistaken.
I find concepts such as warfighting ideology largely a position of what you can cover up from the general public.
I just realized the shirt says General Motors.
At the end of the day in the inner sphere, it's about you and yours, and smoking craters tell.
Oh, really? Giza. Huh. Specifically the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx, and just fighting a battle here. My biggest surprise is that this survived. I mean, in the next shot, if they ever had one, it would probably be blown up like everything else, but just it's interesting to have them fight in places that are recognizable rather than just slightly altered places that aren't really close to reality, but close enough that you can kind of figure out where it's supposed to be. Yeah, just interesting. They don't usually do that. Or at least I haven't seen much art of recognizable places because, I mean, most of the time it's not on Earth. Almost ever, actually.
No tales. They make a hell of an autocannon. But to better illustrate my point, let's just dive in. This map is from 3067. Maps from after that are somewhat messed up for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And on an unrelated note,
Oh. 1, Comstar. 2, I don't actually know. 3, I do know. Word of Blake. Oh, fucking God, man. They take it to 40k levels. It's honestly one of the reasons I like them as villains.
Let's just brush this radioactive ash off here, and there we go. 3067. Don't mind the flickering on the screen.
Why is it flickering?
Mostly harmless. Mostly.
What?
Let's begin with the great houses themselves. I'll be moving clockwise as we
Interesting
go,
how there's
for those of you who
bits and pieces
understand time, and left-hand feed for people who understand timing.
The fuck? They're Kanas, Combine, and House Kurita. Really? They're doing them oh, of course they're together. It's the same thing. I keep forgetting that part, which is weird because
Welcome
I
to
kind
the
of
wacky, weird world of the Draconis Combine. Welcome to a pervasive class system and home to the galaxy's own homegrown, no bullshit, sword-wielding, authoritarian samurai ruling class.
Yeah.
Oh yes. This place is literally built off pre-spaceflight Terran Shogunate-era Japan.
The Xbox Series S lets you play all the latest games with super fast loading times thanks to an SSD at an affordable price point, but on top of that, being an all-digital system makes it the perfect combo with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
It's a monolithic...
What the hell? For freedom, for peace. Really? Sorry, I find it weird that that's the symbol they're going for. I can see for peace, but for freedom? In the Combine? Really? Yeah, sure.
All-encompassing bureaucratic.
Oh, and they're all looking a different way. It's a statue. Never mind.
War and
I was actually talking at first.
Thinks optimal Christmas dinner is, by tradition, fried chicken. They're a fun collection of ideas.
Actually, I find that kind of funny because that's actually not so much a collection of ideas, but the entire thing about fried chicken is, and I only know this because I've watched way too much abroad in Japan. And by way too much, I mean, honestly, not enough because his stuff's awesome. But more importantly, it's apparently a massive tradition that KFC just cornered the market on Christmas dinners. Unironically, that is a thing right now. So the entire full-on weeaboo aspect of this, yeah, this perfectly matches with current Japanese traditions to have KFC on Christmas. It sells out in advance. I don't personally get it because I don't really like KFC. It's good every now and again when you're hungry and there's literally nothing else open and you feel like having a heart attack later. Or, by that I mean just heading to work in the next few hours after that. It's like, yay, heart attack would be less painful. But more than that, it's not actually a collection of ideas. That's an actual consistent idea. Kind of cool that they knew that, though, to even introduce that into the lore.
Behold, this is their throne room.
Very
Take
weeby.
That in.
It's all sand.
This isn't just for show. This is their military. These are their uniforms. These are their mechs.
The mechs look
they
cool,
fight
but uniforms
like
are stupid.
All the time. Yes, those swords are very real and do brutal work. All right, so back to the guy in the chair.
On the one hand, I keep looking at this like, this is all mechs, never get close enough. Then look at this and thinking, wait, one of my favorite mechs on the tabletop is a Black Knight with a sword and a shield. God damn, they actually fit my aesthetic design choices. It looks cool, all right, and I'm easily won over by rule of cool. Gun arm, sword arm. Honestly, the only thing I really wish I had more of on the tabletop was actual melee weapons. There's just not really enough mechs I'd like to have them and are fast enough and also durable enough at the same time. Seriously, it's one of the reasons I love the Black Knight with a sword and shield, because the shield is bullshit outside of Alpha Strike. But inside, not so much.
It is frequently a guy in charge of this. So this guy is called the Coordinator. He runs the place.
That's a stupid name.
There is very little distinction between the Coordinator as a person and the Draconis Combine as a whole. When people refer to the dragon in reference to Kurita as a house or a nation, it's interchangeable between the two entities. And no, the Draconis Combine doesn't celebrate the godhood of rulership with divine mandate.
Really?
However, the Coordinator's word carries essentially the same weight within their sphere of influence, so I'd not invite trouble, as Kurita tends to bury its enemies deep, headless, and by the million.
Is this from a
They
Yakuza
have
game?
no issues with troubleshooting
like they
with
put a
government,
filter on it.
as trouble should be shot in the Draconis Combine. And if there is anything to fear from these guys, it's that they believe in a manifest destiny, which involves House Kurita controlling everything. The Draconis Combine started as an agreement between two worlds,
Really?
which was then fed war and conquest through House Kurita's leadership.
Only two
Kurita
worlds.
has had total control since the beginning. Aside from that one
don't know what
cadet
that mech
branch
is.
that one time in the family.
Also, I just want to go back a second. This is not a mech design I'm used to. Specifically, it looks... I'm not used to seeing the pilots in the mech suit. And I'm going to call it a suit here because functionally, I'm used to it being big and hulking and the pilot is ensconced within a cockpit. And this just looks... Yeah. Oh, this is just so different. I know there's probably a lot of mechs that function the same way, but like over here you expect down on the body, over here you expect down on the body. No, he's sitting on top of the superstructure. In the head is where he's just kind of got his arms and shoulders, so it kind of shrinks the overall size of the mech. So it's probably a Shadowhawk from what I'm looking at. And honestly, I love that mech. It's a great, solid, good mech. But just, wow, I'm not used to seeing the faces. It's really weird.
Control since the beginning, aside from that one cadet branch that one time in the family who was wiped out long ago.
Right.
As far as how this thing runs, well, the 5 pillars represent the Draconis Combine.
Oh! Oh, look, they're ribbed! Because we're on YouTube, I won't specify what this looks like, but someone had a bad idea to have some dragon iconography here, and I'm just going to leave it at that and not say another word of exactly what fetishistic approach to design choices they have here. Yeah.
The pillar of gold is the government. The pillar of steel is the military.
It's kind of
The pillar of
dickish.
teak is the people. The pillar of ivory is religion, philosophy, zen, and all that crap. And then there's jade, the economy. These 5
Yeah,
pillars
he's actually
of
good
state
fit here.
philosophy are represented
Also been told he's
in the
actually a member of the
ministries
Black
state
Pants Legion. He just
organized
recorded it
through
for them.
For instance,
Crazy.
the pillar of steel encompasses the Ministry of War, the Department of Indoctrination,
big
the
mech.
Bureau of Substitution, the Assembly of the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah. Substitution. Indoctrination. I get it. It's a authoritarianism. Grand Inquisition. Makes sense. Substitution. Like just figuring out what they have that they could actually use in place of what they don't have. That's what I would go for, but that sounds incredibly rational and reasonable, and I'm not used to that being a thing in any leader in this world. Like, they're all really good up until they're not, and it seems like one of those really not things. I don't know why, though.
The Admiralty,
Yeah.
the Physician Staff of the Dragon,
Theodore's
and various
nuts.
minor administration authorities. Speaking of authorities, Draconis Combine bureaucracy tends to be impenetrable to outsiders, impossible to reason with.
Oh, now this is interesting. I've seen Tex use this image before, but I never noticed there's actually a dragon motif behind him. So this is, oh yeah, and there's Kurita's symbol right there. Huh. Yeah, and there, I never noticed that because we never saw it from this further down. Nice.
And largely maintains the status quo. Actual decisions are typically made by people with significant military rank in the form of military governors
That is a
appointed
very
to
long neck.
oversee civilian authorities. When in doubt, the decision maker is typically the one with the sword.
No, more importantly, I'll be honest, if I didn't see the logo down there, I would honestly say this is some kind of crazy Xeon art out of a colony that was willing to pollute their air. It's the face, man. It's the face and the bearing. It's just... It looks like someone who's about to go, Hail Xeon, or whatever they did. I was more into Gundam Wing. Ah, damn, there's just something about that bearing. Yeah.
Doubt, the decision maker is typically the one with the sword. And if you want to see that sword up close and real fast,
it'll be in you very fast.
You need to fail to take its bearer seriously, or merely disrespect their presence. Also, they had this whole death to mercenaries thing for a while.
Really?
Not my favorite government.
Oh, I remember hearing about that.
And again, they rarely need mercenaries ever because they constantly...
Okay, that is cool. Sorry, the art itself is pretty straightforward, fighting mech, but the fact that they show the falling actual rounds of ammo and then impacting in the snow. Just think about, when's the last time you saw spent ammo casings in any BattleTech art? I'm not someone who's seen a lot because I mostly saw it through text, but he puts so much in there. You don't see that. Also showing just how fucking huge that is. That is like literally bigger than a person-sized cartridges, it looks like. I mean, maybe not a big person, they're scrunched up, but mass-wise, yeah. God damn.
Constant fighting and insanity of the samurai class means they're pretty much ready to throw down whenever.
Jump kicks.
If they lack a cause, they'll find one quick. The leaders of the Draconis military
Double
are
knife?
often peerless warlords, equally at home in local shogunal politics or on the battlefields of their neighbors. The Draconis Combine is the state that war built, maintained by Bushido, psychotic warriors, and a shitload of weapons.
Probably more the
Finding
psychotic part.
Kurita forces in your backyard is frequently the precursor to speaking Japanese in your near future, whether you want to or not.
Whoa, what was that one? I don't recognize that mech. Oh, is this one of the unseen mechs? It looks very, honestly, Armored Core, oddly enough. But just given the little wing flaps down here, I'm assuming this is something that they had to later get rid of because they also seem to have... Yeah, it looks like they took a Gundam for the arms and the body, but then went for the upper shoulders and mountings of something from Armored Core, and then just put a random cockpit on there from an actual plane, which... Yeah, and there's a guy in just a Speedo. And socks. Socks, really? I mean, I've been told it gets really hot, but socks? Odd choice, but sure, I'll roll with it.
Near future.
Really cool looking mech. No idea what it is, though. Ooh, a Warhammer. Explosion. And there's another edited piece. It looks good. Now we're on the Federated Sons and House Davion.
By House Davion, the so-called good king of the successor houses. The noble one. The one that likes autocannons.
Davion isn't the greatest, but they're definitely trying to be the good guys. Yeah, honestly, it's why I give them a lot of credit. I kind of like Davion just because everyone else really sucks. They have good points, but they kind of suck. Davion also has that suckage, and from what I've heard of the newest lore, they kind of went full Kurita, even though Kurita and Liao both apparently became less dickish. It apparently changed. I don't know the details. I haven't gone that far into lore yet. Yeah, but at least during this time, yeah, no, they seem like the only guys who are just actually trying to care a little bit. And I do mean a little, but yeah.
It's a lot. That's these guys. Technically, the state is the Federated Sons, and they're another fun monarchy. House Davion is descended from English and French nobility, operating as constitutionally bound monarchs, and has been since ever.
Okay, I got the English because it's very English, not so much speaking design, but the French aspect. I probably should have figured that with a name like Davion. Just gotta pronounce it differently, but there's someone out there, someone who's hyper-patriotic, who never realized but was really into BattleTech, and they're like, oh yeah, Davion's the English house, yeah. Wait, they're also French? I've been standing the French group, and they're just terrified what the hell that means, and I just love that, because I know there's at least one person out there who does that. And I will laugh at them, mostly because I'm an asshole, but more importantly, that's just funny to me.
Trying to reinforce their position as champions of liberty and personal freedom at every annoying turn. Yeah. Because of this, most people think House Davion, and by extension, the Federated Sons, are self-righteous assholes.
I mean, that also could be the case.
Wrong, mostly. But see, the story is a bit funny on that. Originally, the Federated Sons was a federation.
Really?
In time, the founding polities chose delegates to form a high council who would, among themselves, elect a president to lead them. But the political machinations of the Davion family were all about having a monarchy, so they pushed the presidency into that, and since then, the Davion family has ruled. Which is really good for them. Mostly good for the Federated Sons, and has worked out for the most part. However, Davions being Davions, one had to rule them all. So there was an early Davion civil war. The 5 marches had to decide for themselves who would be the first.
Oh, now that's interesting. So if there's marches and they had Draconis and Capellan, so does that mean they actually took a significant portion of the other house's territories? Oh. Also, oh god, they're literally the English and French kings in one. I mean, with all the inbreeding between the two houses, that's actually not that big of a difference from actual real history, but yeah, they're literally King Arthur's court, essentially. No, actually, probably just as much fuckery as actual King Arthur's court. Never mind, that makes perfect sense.
Prince, and sharing was apparently
It's even New Avalon.
There's a serious consideration at any point. And the winner of that first early Davion Civil War, Alexander Davion, went on to pass more legislation than any of his predecessors.
Really?
Because he had total military support.
Oh, yeah. Not being able to say no doesn't do it.
People vote how you want with a bayonet. However, the story doesn't get any worse, really, for some time at least.
Really?
To their credit, House Davion was not a despot. They encouraged then and still champion free speech, individual liberties, and personal freedom. But in the end, it is a monarchy.
I mean, yeah, but also, I'm still surprised they did that. I'm honestly surprised that Tex didn't do... The big reveal is, yeah, no, they're actually kind of assholes, and here's how. And he said for some time, so I know that's coming up, and I think I have an idea, but still, I'm surprised there actually was a period where they were actually kind of... good? Like, I was expecting to find out they weren't, but no, actually, it's just... I'm surprised. I'm legitimately surprised. Huh.
Considering the mostly beneficial
that is a weird image for his eye.
Some will label Davion a father-knows-best state, which has many times, but not always, been justified in its actions. As such, it is seen as one of the more stable houses on account of broad public support. I will admit this, though they can be...
I'm sorry, just... What the fuck, man? Is that some cartoon, specifically 70s, 80s, maybe even 50s style Fox cartoon? I just love that they introduced that even at any way, shape, or form. That's just fun.
Miserably righteous and annoying. They're frequently not evil, just smug. And yes, that is just as bad. The armed forces of the Federated Sons have historically been one of the most professional militaries in the Inner Sphere, originally formed from peacekeepers and always kept as modern as state industries could allow. These guys even developed the predecessors to the Warhammer on their own dime in the earliest years of BattleTech.
Seriously?
Even when they're wrong, they're almost right. Davion may not pay you well, but they won't bury you for no reason.
That last part is usually important, considering Kurita had no mercenaries aspect. Honestly, if you could just get jobs between Kurita and Steiner, you're probably going to do pretty well for yourself. One will pay you really well, but you're going to have to listen to some idiots. The other one will not pay you so well, and you're going to be really stretched then.
Mostly.
But live. Dude. Guessing that's an awesome. I think I'm starting to recognize it for some reason. Capellan Confederation and House Liao. Full disclosure here, I don't know why in the HBS Hairbrain Scheme BattleTech game I got really close to them. I don't know how, as I thought I was fighting against them more often than not. Apparently I just happened to take missions that also supported them more than the ones that hurt them. I don't know how that happened. I wasn't planning on it. I was trying to get closer to Marik to see what their stuff was, and then it never came up again.
Next door are these guys. I don't like them as much for a number of reasons. The Capellan Confederation is the youngest kid on the block as successor states go.
Really? They're the youngest?
It's a socialistic police state that has almost, but not always, been under the control of one family.
Okay, more importantly, that's actually something I don't usually see. It's almost battle armor. Like, they got jump jets and everything. It's not clan because they're about the same size as the regular human, but I just don't see that often. Specifically infantry that's also equipped with ways to move, or are they just rocket launchers? That would be stupid, but also cool enough. I could see that working in sci-fi. Yeah, kind of want that now.
House Liao. The head of the state is the chancellor, who is, in the Capellan Confederation, one nod away from making you disappear. To say that it is a police state is not an act of hyperbole, but substantiated fact.
Oh, is it actually run by
However,
police?
It wasn't always so.
What
started as a collection of states united.
Hey, Sarna! Really, Capella? But oh, does it have multiple capitals? They're probably just major worlds. Ah, I love it. That's where Sarna got its name. Oh, that's cool. Or did the planet get the name because of Sarna.net? I honestly don't know. It's been long enough that it could go either way for me.
Uniting for common defense and well-being.
Oh, Sion's probably capital.
Slowly grew over hundreds of years through successive generations of philosophy and leadership from one house into an autocratic state with a centrally controlled economy. Some would say this is a functional dictatorship, but dictators tend toward having some sort of functional agenda or understanding of strategic power. But in truth, there's actually three forces that run this place.
Oh, so they're really fucked up.
They are the Chancellor, the Prefectorate, and the House of Scions. The Chancellor is the CIC of the Armed Forces, Special Forces, and the face of the state in matters of foreign policy.
Which means he has a lot of power, but I'm assuming one of the other ones is probably literally there to make sure he doesn't take over from the Scions, who, just calling it now, they're a bunch of freaking... Well, if you can assume it's the guy who Amaris decided to unhead. Yeah, a bunch of hymns. I'm not going to say his name because it hurts me to even contemplate it. I don't like making this reference.
The Chancellor can also make decrees and legislative changes at will. It's a powerful position, to say the least.
But, oh, hey, Starleague era too.
Always been a lifetime appointment for House Liao.
Oh.
The Prefectorate is the body of state regional entities and greater nobility. The House of Scions isn't, mostly. Needless to say, the Chancellor seems to get his or her way more often than not. But the other two governmental branches will act to frustrate or block particular agendas.
So I was partially right about what I said. They're not just there to throw him off, but he's mostly in charge. Also, really? I was not expecting to see a Christian cross. I mean, the Buddhist aspect, sure, because Liao is mostly based around Chinese, but really, Christian? Ah, maybe this is underground.
What's interesting about the Capellan Confederation is that its citizens, or rather I should say resident aliens born there, are not citizens.
What?
Not yet, anyways.
Oh.
In fact, in the Confederation, citizenship must be earned, and the state is the sole measure of that esteem. Children are legally, in every way, wards of the state under limited provisional supervision granted by the government to their parents or other assigned legal guardians.
Oh, that's fucked up.
At age 15, each child is thoroughly examined by the government to see if they have a proven commitment to the state. Those who are deemed worthy gain citizenship.
Those who don't?
Those who are not are given a grace period for a second evaluation. But failure to measure up as a citizen for any reason results in becoming a non-citizen, which are frequently referred to as state servitors. By the succession wars, this non-citizen class had become an enormous part of the population. A population that, I must state, had no rights and was legally state property.
Ah, that seems like an issue. Also, because that actually is one of the things that did happen a lot in, I was going to say France, but it's not quite the same. When you're legally state property, people could abuse you. Eventually, if you have a large enough mass of them, yeah, no, it doesn't go well. Unless they're literally absolutely held down and servitor in the sense that they're actually lobotomized. That would be fucked up, but that's more of the 40k sense of servitor. I'm really hoping it's not to that extent. Did they really go full 40k on this one? Don't let them go full 40k on this one.
This was reversed in 3052 when Sun Tzu Liao became chancellor and
Wait, they had a good
servitor slavery. Not all Capellan chancellors are assholes.
Oh.
Most, though, well, the record speaks for itself.
Was not expecting to hear there was a good one. Mostly because it seems just a giant pile of, we're only going to take the ones who really like us, which is literally all that is coming down to. It's literally just, are you indoctrinated enough? If no, we own you. That's literally all it is, and it's annoying.
The military of the Confederation Armed Forces have traditionally been the underdog, but have never shied away from a fight. They frequently are pushed into doing far too much with far too little, and on top of it have to face the catastrophic political and military meddling of a chancellor who may or may not understand the difference between entertainment and war. The fact that...
Oh, that last one is absolutely brutal. And it's a lifetime appointment, so he can literally do whatever he wants. And if you don't agree with him, you're not the kind of person who would ever be in a position to ever say that. It is literally a system that is probably only held up due to fiction. Because if you only promote people who believe in what you say and you just build yes men, eventually you fuck up so hard that things collapse around you. And it sounds like he's doing his best. Maybe not all of them, though. Maybe from all I can guess is there's a good bit of this is fiction that works because we're going to make it just bad enough to make it seem horrible, but just good enough that they can recover to not die horribly. The suspension of disbelief is easier because of that, but anyone like that is a giant fucking idiot. And if they go long enough, like lifetime appointments over hundreds of years, multiple successors that dumb, it doesn't work, which also might have happened later in future BattleTech history. I don't know. I don't follow much of what happened yet because I just haven't got there. Also because I view actual lore as a spoiler for text, which is weird.
Capellan State has not been conquered outright speaks volumes to the abilities of the CCAF, who have demonstrated battlefield insanity as a doctrine for nearly 8 centuries.
Technically, it does work.
The economy is centrally planned and is designed on the principle that sufficient planning can overcome any hardship.
That is absolutely true. If you actually plan correctly. It's like if you're planning for something horrible to happen, but not the also horrible thing that's more likely, you fucked. Sufficient planning is always great unless you're wrong about what is sufficient. So technically everything he just said is true, but also, depending on your frame of reference, completely bullshit.
This has produced mixed results. The Confederation always endures, but at what cost?
Never actually improving. Marik? Or Steiner? Probably Steiner. Oh, no, it was Marik.
Next door is the Free Worlds League. I don't say House Marik because, well, it's complicated. Also, their history isn't terrible as some make it.
Oh, wow. I honestly can't tell if this guy's just really old or that's a scar. I'm going with scar because it doesn't reflect the rest of his face, but dear God. Considering metal technology is actually pretty damn good in BattleTech, this is more of a choice on his part. It's kind of terrifying.
Get out to be. Yes, the greatest threat to a Marik is a Marik, but glory to Marik. But it wasn't always so. The Free Worlds League was actually formed before the Terran hegemony.
Oh!
Born out of the early Terran alliances,
I mean, of course, one of the early
struggles, and then collapse as an early power. Your homeworld falling apart in early colonization was, well, somewhat on the catastrophic end of things. So nations which weathered that catastrophe learned self-reliance. The Free Worlds League was originally an agreement between 3 existing nations, the Marik Republic, the Regulan Principality, and the Federation of Oriente.
I thought they were going to go for the joke there and go, Duchy of Marik, Commonwealth of Marik, Federation of Marik. Sorry, that would make the Marik joke even more funny. And then there's the Stuart Confederation. Wow. Also, this is weird. They're actually going out of their way to show that they're connected, even though functionally there's nothing there to connect. This is actually just one of the aspects I find funny, because this is a side effect of doing a 3D model of space flattened into a 2D representation. It would make a lot more sense if you saw how everything was connected in a ball. But since they're doing it in just flattened down, things look closer to each other and in weird positions that don't quite work. And honestly, you could really make a lot of changes based on it. But I was going to say no one has that, but is there actually like 3D maps you can find somewhere? Like either multi-stacked clear replicas you can buy in person and physically own, or like 3D ones you could just get online, you can explore that way. That would actually be really damn cool. Are they a thing? Please tell me they're a thing. Someone tell me they're a thing.
Amazingly enough, the founders of the League owe most of their success to a guy named George Humphreys, who was the negotiator between the 3 nations. And was honored as the first Speaker of Parliament for 5 damn sessions. They didn't throw the negotiator away when they came together as a nation. They threw nobody under the bus. Instead, they championed him. That is righteous. So how'd it go down? You see, of the three nations, Marik was on top locally, and Marik didn't like the idea of a union at all, not at first.
But
He thought it wouldn't work. Working with others seemed like a bad idea, in fact, considering the state of galactic affairs. But Humphreys wore him down, like a good friend does, and the only reason I bring this up is because what wore him down wasn't politics. It wasn't an appeal to power or glory or riches or conquest or the history books. It was in fact nerd shit. See,
Nerd shit?
Detlev Marik collected historic awards and trophies. Raju Salaj, Prince of Regulus, collected miniatures, figurines mainly, and books and paintings and the like. And these two...
oh my god! So are you telling me Marik is literally the in-game nerd house? Originally nerd house, but they literally... they basically played Axis and Allies, except French Revolutionary War version. Oh my god, they actually did! This is absolutely beautiful. I love this. I unironically love this. Oh, I hate that I'm actively... Marik was the house I really didn't know what to think about, because I really didn't like Kurita entirely, but Liao, I just... Steiner, Davion, they're pretty up there. Kind of like Davion for personal reasons, but Steiner for just having really cool mechs, and Steiner Scout Squad. But Kurita, just Marik, I was like, eh. And the entire free world's like, I didn't really know much about. And now I'm just like, oh shit. They just became my ghost bearer of the inner sphere. Just like doing something so stupidly funny. I love them for it.
Two guys nerding out about their neat stuff they liked and had collected contributed as much toward the founding of the Free Worlds League as anything else. Ostensibly, the Free Worlds League is a federal republic, with each province granted a grand measure of self-rule and sovereignty. And as you'd expect, the Free Worlds League is a complex creature, politically speaking. The Parliament is technically a supreme federal and legislative authority, but there's some caveats to that. For one, membership of the Parliament was, for a time, determined by the amount of taxes paid into the Treasury. And then there's the self-rule problem. All that self-rule means you have all sorts of people in Parliament. Some nations could be dictatorships, others a theocracy, others a democracy, and yet...
Oh, so wow, they're literally a microcosm of the entire inner sphere within their own little worlds. So you can have self-rule. That's... I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of amazing they kept it together long enough, and they're apparently a really good example of what the Star League could have looked like if they had taken over. Really fucked up, but also still somehow hanging on. That's... I kind of respect them more for making that giant pile of what the fuck actually work.
Yet all under one flag. Naturally, this causes some, problems.
Yeah.
It's why, for the most part, the Free Worlds League, through its history, has operated in a near-permanent state of martial law under the Captain General, who is frequently, but not always, a Marik. Historically,
wait, not always?
The power of the Parliament has...
Okay, two things. One, I have no idea what mech this is supposed to be. It has aspects that look like a lot of them, but two, really? Dick laser? They know what they did. There's no way they didn't know exactly what they did. They were like, gonna put two of them on there. Yeah, two dick lasers. Yeah, they knew.
Waned with every major conflict, crisis, or state of emergency, whereas the power of the Captain General has increased. That's right.
So in other words,
the Free Worlds League drops their issues at Marik's welcome mat, rings the doorbell, and runs the fuck home. I don't envy that job. Originally intended for military matters on behest of Parliament, 8 centuries of emergency powers later, the Captain General stands as first among equals.
Okay, one. Oh shit, this is one of those massive size mechs. Like, they're going back to Star League era grandiosity here, where it's way beyond anything that actually technically fits, but also is really cool still. 2. So the guy in charge is basically a military dictatorship. but also because they just keep giving him power. And they've done it long enough with so many different people that it actually might unironically not be a plot. And because it's not always the same house, it's not always Marik running it, that's actually kind of hilarious to me.
And is more or less House Marik's personal lordship of the Free Worlds League, with all of the hazards that entails. The Free Worlds League has defined its economic niche through innovative technologies and free trade, which I feel is a response engineered in opposition to the then crumbling Terran Alliance's blanket of tariffs and protective customs laws. The laissez-faire approach to the free world's economic principles has made more friends than enemies.
Really?
However, poor risk management analysis has caused problems. For instance, after conquering the magistracy of Canopus during the Reunification War, the Free Worlds League invested oceans of currency, industry, and effort into rebuilding the Canopan economy. Canopus returned the favor by outcompeting and underbidding the Free Worlds League economy in the region by most.
Oh, they conquered it, and then they were outbid because they built him back, which is like, on the one hand, yeah, it's nice they did it. On the other hand, yeah, that's just a slap in the face. Oh, this is a clanner casino? I was not expecting that.
Mostly using principally cheaper labor and lots of industry they didn't have to pay to build. This resulted in a 10-year economic recession for the entire Free Worlds League.
That is a very big
no
area.
good deed goes unpunished. Since they've learned quite a bit and have managed their economic affairs with care to guard against the systemic mayhem and shock as caused by other states, good intentions or not. Culturally, the Free Worlds League.
Huh. So they're literally the exact opposite almost of House Davion, or the Federated Sons. Not in the sense of personal freedoms, but in the sense of how they manage things, where the Federated Sons are more like, freedom! Hello, friend! Have freedom! Also, we're now taking over to make sure you have freedom. Now you work for us. Have freedom. Where Marik is like, no, let's just take this a little slower, not fuck around, maybe not actually help anyone because they kind of fucked us over last time. It's just the approach of, we'll do by us, y'all fuck off. Where the Federation seems to be, hello, friend. I'm highly fucking that up, I realize, but it just, yeah, it's very much an outside focus versus an inside focus. It's really cool how they're so dynamically different in that aspect.
It is a mix. In fact, it is probably the most diverse state there is in the Inner Sphere. The principal language is mostly a derivative of Star League English, but on any given world you might hear Czech, Arabic, or Urdu, with a sheer number.
I mean, to be completely fair, that's basically American English right there. American English. We mug everything for everyone, and we just take every vowel, verb, tense, and sometimes aspects of gender-positive affirming aspects of the language that don't actually exist, and we use them wrong, but we keep doing it anyways without realizing it. For example, Android was specifically a male variant. Only Gynoid was the female variant of robots. They had inherent gender in the words. Nobody knows that, and we've completely dropped that entire aspect. Yeah, just things in language we kind of make up and then ignore altogether. It's the thing that we do.
Of cultures and political systems present in the Free Worlds League. It must be said that if there was anything
Wait,
that
they still
unified
had the
them,
separations.
it was not a merit,
Oh.
but more an ideology. And that's entrepreneurship, a belief in the free market, and the idea that anybody could make it if they tried. It was from the prosperity of the Star League that this philosophy grew, I feel. The succession wars didn't dampen their spirits either. It merely made them appreciate what they had and encouraged them to continue fighting for it. And maybe each other from time to time because, hey, glory to Marik.
Kenyan, fuck Kerensky. I ain't choosing sides, Marik. Yeah, the biggest threat to Marik is always a Marik. But also, they seem to be coming through most of the succession wars without absolutely losing their shit. Huh. It's like, yeah, also they've given away too much power, but it's kind of working. This is a way more complicated system than any of the others Tex has gone through. Legitimately, I think this is probably the most complicated so far, and I would love if he did a specific deep dive just into this house to see how the hell it functions. That would be awesome. The fuck? Oh, Steiner,
Next
never
door
mind.
is the one people make fun of, and for some of the right reasons. Welcome to the Lyran Commonwealth. First of all, few call it that unless they're declaring war or arranging marriage, which if I'm frank might be the same thing in the same afternoon. So welcome to the House of Steiner. The Steiners are the ruling family and have been since virtually ever. They were founded as a merchant and industrialist conglomerate. They
Yeah, that
never
makes sense.
stopped being exactly that. They celebrate their vast wealth by having far too many nobles.
Steiner, middle class problems. Oh, dear God, it's basically the UAE.
Noble titles and historically largely incompetent generals. Save for the occasional flash in the pan, that is.
Oh, yeah,
However,
a Steiner.
if they're strategically incompetent to the
Okay, just completely unaside from everything Tex is saying. Normally, when I see an atlas, the head doesn't look scary to me. It being an atlas when I don't have anything heavier than a medium mech is scary. This is the first time I've ever seen it painted in such a way that it highlights the fact that this looks like a skull, and it is actually intimidating. This is the first art I've seen where that is actually portrayed in any meaningful form. Nice.
point that the concept of their scouting parties operating vastly excessive tonnage, even in modest probing actions, memes based more on truth than you think, then how do they survive, you ask? Well, money and industry, friends.
If you have enough money to throw at something, it does
House
work.
Steiner's backing is the industrial base and every bank that invested in it. They are the military-industrial complex. There are many good reasons they can afford to dump truck weapons into a situation, operational or not, piloted or not, and then continue to do so until the enemy leaves. While not stupendously famous for warfighting leadership or tactical brilliance, House Steiner can and will bury you with its vast assembly lines led by pretend generals until you give up or they get bored.
Do they actually have that in German? Oh, it looks like they did. They actually did the Steiner thing in German, it looks like. I can't read a bit of that, but I can kind of figure it out because a case system, an ECM, an impulse laser, a Gauss. Ooh, nice. And that is a lot of C-bills. Ugh. That is also a very big gun. PPC? Ooh. Don't know. Still, though. Sorry, it's one of the reasons I like them. They get to play with the fun toys. Personally, I don't know enough about this system. We're about to find out, but he's not wrong. Everything Tex just said about them, of getting all the cool toys, from a player perspective, it's just like saying, hey, which house is going to give you all the shit that you want to use, but you're never going to get anywhere else? Yeah.
Every tragic comedy of their strategic planning is mostly
They plan?
covered by the sheer power of their pervasive economy and vast military industry. In its early days, the Lyran Commonwealth was headed by 9 archons as patterned off ancient Athens
weird.
of Terra, because early post-Terran
Crusaders.
colonies were like that, very idyllic. Then one guy deposed the other 8, decided to establish the Estates General to run the show, and
Oh, so
finally
basically
hammer
they
out some agreements
Caesared
on
it.
what rights meant. And it's kind of worked out.
Oh.
Technically, the Archon of the Lyran Commonwealth is an absolute ruler, commander-in-chief of all military forces.
This man can kill plants on accident. Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think he means that in the, oh yeah, they overkill it. I mean, oh shit, I didn't mean to kill that one. It was the one next to it. I fully believe that.
And can unilaterally make most governmental decisions with a modest nod. They
Damn.
run the show. They even hold the right to grant and remove noble titles in perpetuity. Titles which hold significant power.
Okay, one. Is that a... Okay, it's the monocle. I thought his cheek just went out to here. I was like, dear God, man, that is a massive tumor. But no, his cheek only goes here, which is still big, and dear God, his face is weird shapes. Like the cheeks are out to here, but the face is really thin, and... Yeah, they're very much... Yeah, they're the Prussian Empire before World War I, essentially.
So they're a ruthless autocrat, right?
Laugh if you want. These medals were probably for once somebody's children. Yeah, they probably were. Unfortunately, they were also probably his soldiers who then died to get them. Forward, men! Right into your own weapons fire! I'm joking, but also I'm pretty sure there's going to be people in the comments going, yeah, they did that, and then they'll actually tell me what part of a book they showed them doing that. I've heard stories, man.
Not really. Most archons of House Steiner, aside from a few notable assholes
Catherine Steiner Davion, not a nice lady. Oh.
who need extensive covering in what I will likely label a historical diss track, are mostly okay people.
I'm sorry, what? So one, mostly okay people is not a title Tex gives to most leaders. Hell, he was more brutal to everyone so far. Even Liao was treated about that fair. But none of them raised to, I will need to make a video about whoever the hell that was. Actually, the name was even there. What did she do? Actually, do I even want... This is one of those questions I don't want people to answer, isn't it? That out of all of the people, after going through Kurita, after going through Liao, this person, in a faction that he actually seems to like, he wants to make a specific video on just to fuck over them. Pointing out, he did Amaris and he did the Exodus. No diss track. Other than a few points there where he broke his objectivity to say just what the fuck was going on. But overall, it wasn't just about fuck this person in particular. But this person apparently is. Okay. I should be scared, shouldn't I? I probably should.
Okay, people. They delegate most decisions to the bureaucracy, the councils of state, appointed advisors, and the estates general, and they typically just keep their heads down. Or just go to the Solaris thing. Right, the Solaris thing.
Wait, that's
so there's a
that makes sense,
bullseye in the
Steiner.
inner sphere in the murder for entertainment business, and it's right here. Solaris 7. This is pretty much Steiner in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert in these matters, so I'll turn it over to a local.
Really? Crab? Sure, but wasn't expecting that.
He can sum it up better. Mr. Fisher, take it away.
Solaris 7 is the only place where you can pay money to watch two strangers beat each other to death, while also enjoying a corn dog.
Ooh.
Duncan, that's not true. Canopus exists. They had corn
right.
dogs last I went. And a very good Outback.
I think Canopus banned.
Really? Outback and Canopus? Ugh. Kind of judging him on that one. I wish that said ball of death, but I can't really read what it says.
And trans fats, my dude. I've only ever seen funnel cake. Oh, and they do a lot of food on a stick. Saves napkins, less to clean up. Stick food is really the way of the future.
He's not wrong.
I wish we'd thought of it first. Sticks truly are the yardstick of food. I'm Duncan Fisher. I stand by this statement. Sticks are the future. Mark my words.
Duncan, this is costing me a fortune.
Oh, right.
Yep.
HPG bills. So,
Okay, unironically, I love how this has so many alternate arts for Duncan Fisher. I'm just used to seeing a few of them, and I guess they've just collected so many over the years of making TexTalks. Oh, they've done TexTalks BattleTech for years. That they have so many interesting arts for him at this point. He's basically his own 2D PNG VTuber at this point. Or 2D tuber, whatever.
Solaris 7. Murder is more or less very legal, so long as you do it in the box on TV, and everyone has
So
a
basically,
really
Roman
great
gladiators
time.
got it.
In fact, it's fantastic. There's explosions and music, and I'm there. Every night, on every screen. I tell you all the things I think you need to hear, and most of them are very accurate. Very, very accurate.
Unironically, I kind of want the Black Pants Legion and Tex just to make a video now of a Solaris 7 game, but having him recap the entire thing where no one else is speaking. That would just be funny. I know that you can play it on tabletop. I don't know the rules. It might be fun to look into, honestly, but I need to get around to that.
Anyways, this is Duncan Fisher signing off, and this appearance cost Professor Tex 1,485 C-bills.
Thank you, Duncan. Steiner space is a complex thing. Not good, not evil, just very big. In fact, I think that the Lyran Commonwealth is much like a cosmic horror. Some giant, blind, idiot god, just waiting there, happily making money and strudel, singing merrily to itself until someone comes over and flips the table. And then it becomes very, very upset.
Oh my god, they're even doing that. Oh, I get it with it. It's literally all the German memes. But it's just so bad. Who's left, anyways? Oh, we're doing the rod. Oh, I was actually not expecting that. Oh, Rashlag Free Republic, and they're basically space Vikings, and that's why they have the Dragonborn helmet punching Kurita. Okay, that makes sense.
Anyways, moving to our right, because space has that, we have to talk about this strip of the inner sphere that's been nothing but hell. We're not talking about these a-holes here, because they're not from here, or rather,
not the clans,
recently. These are the clans, and for those uninitiated, they're a strange, deep space civilization of state-mandated, eugenics program, warrior caste, combat cult weirdos.
Yeah.
Even by our standards, they're very weird. They also got completely wrecked by the phone company. It was a pretty okay time. For us, that is. So, here's what remains of the somewhat free Rasselhag Republic.
Oh, it included Tukayed.
So these guys were a thing, briefly.
Or Tukayed.
These guys decided they shouldn't be. Because they were between these guys and Terra, which is controlled by the phone
And that's
company.
why they had the kid. Okay,
Cool,
never mind.
These guys taking a bite out of everything on their way to the telecoms HQ for very odd, strangely specific, quasi-spiritual reasons, which for very different, strangely specific, quasi-spiritual reasons, the phone company decided to murder them. Guys, as it turns out, you can make people show up to an ambush by just asking them. Remember,
Yeah,
be
that
kind,
actually
it pays
happened.
Dividends.
Still can't
Before
believe
that
it, but I do.
unpleasantness, Rasselhag was a state come from the space between House Kurita over here and House Steiner.
Oh, it was actually rather large. Oh. Wow, the clans really did a number on it.
These Kuritan buffer worlds were, before Kurita came along, an independently free principality of mostly culturally Scandinavian colonists. This small state was then overrun by House Kurita, who had to pry the worlds from them after 30 years of guerrilla warfare. They didn't go quietly. They were always a somewhat fiercely independent border region who resisted assimilation into the Draconis Combine. Over time, and some phone company intervention, Theodore Kurita was convinced of the benefits of creating a buffer zone between the houses of...
That's actually the first time I've heard of Comstar actively telling people not to fuck themselves. Usually it's like, we're going to get involved here because we don't want to have our stuff get fucked over. But no, this is the first time I've heard Comstar ever do something like, hey, maybe we should not invade. I'm sure there's more examples of that, but this is the first one I've heard, so it just really stands out.
Steiner and Kurita by granting Rasselhag independence. Some of Kurita's guys were so mad at this that they resisted the government, and Kurita had to fight what was called the Ronin War.
Oh, that's actually kind of impressive. Not just that people would take up arms about them not fighting, but they had to do their own war internally because of that. That's actually really fascinating. Just because that seemed like a very heavily controlled state, but the fact that them not doing the things that are usually flat out evil actually pissed off a lot of people. 2, this image doesn't make sense. It's like, which way are you going to die first? Are you going to seppuku? Or is this guy going to kill you? Or is this guy going to kill you with a gun? I don't know. It could go either way. It's like he's being given the choice of an honorable death, and this guy's standing over him in case he fucks up. And I'm guessing this guy's just watching them to make sure he doesn't do anything, like try to fight this guy. But honestly, I kind of want to believe the next scene is this guy blocking this man's hand while pushing the gun out of the way in just some kind of twisting motion and just going full on John Wick on it. Would it? Probably not, but it'd be fun as hell for a story.
After Old Man Kurita gave his rowdy warriors the belt, Rasselhag became essentially a neutral buffer between the two superpowers of House Kurita and House Steiner. They were independent for almost 2 decades before these assholes
Only
came
20
in,
years.
and in the end, they weren't anymore. This much of them survived as a rump state under the custodianship of Comstar until 3070, when Clan Ghostbear more or less took them in.
Yeah.
Because Ghostbear is of a similar cultural background and understands the importance of family. Good people mostly.
Yeah.
Kinda clingy though. For the record,
It's a small
Rasselhag was not
personal
a paper
problem with
dragon.
them, yeah. But otherwise
They
they're cool.
collapsed only after fighting bravely in the face of overwhelming odds. They gave the clanners a hard fight on every world, and in the deep black between stars. It was a Rasselhag pilot who kamikazed the Okan's warship and stopped the invasion for a year.
Oh, yeah.
Rasselhag is like that. They'll smile all day, But fuck around and the Viking comes out, and it doesn't stop until you or they are...
This is such a weird image. I mean, I know we're talking about BattleTech, but getting this many mechs this close together and tanks that are honestly as big as some of the mechs. Okay, so these are... No, I think... Are those people or trees? I literally cannot tell. But just having these many... Are those hover tanks? Wasn't expecting that. But this many mechs this close together at such ranges and then shooting through them? This is a weird picture. I kind of love it, but it's literally just an old school melee brawl from prehistory almost. Like Trojan War levels clashing shields. Phalanxes even. But they're in giant mechs with guns. It's so ridiculous, but I love this because it's insane.
Very, very dead. Next up, I have to talk about this.
Sure.
This was once the cradle of humanity, but it's been a hotbed of a lot of historical issues.
Terra Firma. Really? It's not even that they have an Earth, they have Terra Firma? Or is that actually just Terra? Or Earth? And they have Sol. Oh, they call it Sol instead? Huh.
Originally, the first circuit of what was called SL Comnet was laid out in this chunk of space once called the Hegemony.
I don't know that game.
Then, well, there was this guy named Jerome Blake, and his fate would have...
Wait. What was that? Text, what was that in the corner? Blake be praised.exe activated. Uh-oh. Text, is this a hint that you're going to be going into the Dark Age, or even worse, the Jihad era? He does seem to be leading up to it by having these. He's mostly Texas doing everything from the clan invasion back. I don't think he's done anything after that. Is this kind of a little giveaway that we're doing the more crazy aspects that came in the Jihad? Because I would really love that.
And his fate would have it.
What's he loading?
He'd be the last employee of SL Comnet. But some assholes in time would think that everything that poured out of his goddamn mouth was the word of...
He got cut. Commissar regrets to inform you of this technical difficulty. Broadcast will resume in redacted format. Praise Blake.
Right, so I guess next time I have to talk about the periphery, then the deep periphery. Great. Goat, play me out. Team, show these people how we pay our bills.
What the
fuck? See you next time. Stay safe.
Oh, far away from the light of Terra, the remnants of another era join the crew.
I know I'm probably reaching, thinking the entire thing they put in there with the joke about redacting everything said about Blake was leading into a possible acknowledgement of the Dark Age, followed, or I guess prior to that, and the entire Jihad era. I don't think it's going to go that way. But I wanted to, because I just think all of that era is actually really kind of fascinating in the sense that it went crazy in a way nothing else in BattleTech kind of does. You get a little bit in the clans with their genetic aspects, but overall it's more, this is what we're going to do, and we don't agree with you, we're kind of crazy, but different. Every time you get into the word of Blake and the Jihad era, it's just flat out insanity. And I love it because it was just so different. It just stands out to me for that. Also, because the model of the Black Knight with a sword and a shield came from that one, and it's just really cool. So, yeah, I like this. I like seeing where everything went, and I now have a bigger appreciation for Marik and the free worlds than I really expected to actually get. They sound pretty cool, actually. So if you haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. It's Tex. It's the Black Pants Legion. You know they're awesome. Do that. And when you're done, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.